Passerei ora alla seconda domanda a Patrick. Come dicevo prima, Patrick ha vissuto il carcere dal di dentro e la mia domanda è esattamente in relazione alla realtà del carcere. Vorremmo che ci parlasse di come viene vissuto il carcere da un prigioniero politico. Il carcere che è un sistema repressivo tanto in Israele quanto in Egitto. E se ci puoi anche dire qualcosa, perché tu sei stato incarcerato come una persona giovane, come vivono il carcere ragazzi della tua età e ancora di più bambini, perché in questo momento in Israele ci sono 350 bambini. Stiamo parlando di bambini dai 10 ai 18 anni. E credo che siano più di 1000 quelli che sono stati arrestati e poi rilasciati, però 350 sono ancora detenuti. Uno di loro è morto a causa delle torture. Quindi lascio la parola a Patrick.
Ciao a tutti. Prima sono molto felice per essere qui la prima volta. Grazie mille per l'invitazione e organizzare l'evento. E grazie per il supporto 2 giorni fa. E scusatemi per continuare in inglese. I'm really pleased to be here today, and it's a great honor to speak in an event about Marwan Barghouti, who's a big figure for me since I was like a child, growing up on the stories of his resistance, of stories for working for his country. For me, honestly, when they say like Marwan Barghouti is like Mandela of Palestine, I don't like comparisons. Honestly, I want to comment over this. Marwan Barghouti is Marwan Barghouti. Like, he has his own story, his own narration, his own way of resisting against like the Israeli politics. So I don't love so much like comparing people, but it's a good thing. I know it's in a good way, but I like that everyone has his own hustle, his own resistance. And also I'm really aware about this huge campaign when I decided to come to this event against me, because they are really afraid of the presence of Marwan Barghouti again in Palestine, because they know that he's a very, very important figure and leader for the people in West Bank, and they know that he have a very, very a great knowledge on dealing with the situation right now in Palestine, and that's what really USA and Israel don't want to happen right now in the region. They know that Barghouti could be the future president of Palestine, and they are not willing to do that because they want the people there leading Palestine to stay there, because they are a silent actor. They are not doing anything, and I'm here meaning Abu Mazen, who don't do anything for Palestinians from my point of view, and they are really afraid that Barghouti will be there, because Barghouti will did a lot for Palestinians, for the right of Palestinians to exist, for defending the lands of West Bank, and he knows even the people in Gaza appreciate so much Barghouti, which that's something Israel don't love so much about him. To go to the question about the prison, which you just mentioned, honestly, I only have one comment on the question, that honestly make a comparison between the prisons of Israel and Egypt, that's for me doesn't make sense a bit, because it's totally a different occasions and it doesn't relate to each other by any mean. Israel is an occupation government, occupied the Palestinian lands, and the imprisonment in the occupied lands is totally different thing from being occupied in your country under like Egyptians. It's totally different. So the comparison is not accurate so much for me, but I will talk about for sure my experience at the prison. Yeah, because honestly, when I got arrested, I am arrested in my country under the ruling of a government of people who are Egyptians, which is totally different from being arrested by the occupiers, by the colonizers. It's a total different experience. For me, when I go to the prison, I was arrested from the airport and I was subjected to forced disappearance for 48 hours in the Egyptian prisons. During those 48 hours, I was subjected to physical torture and and like being punished, being in fully blindfolded those 2 hours, being also like not able to move. They hanged my hands in those 48 hours. So it was a terrible situation at the first 48 hours of my kidnapping from Cairo airport. Yeah, I was subjected to those forms of torture, and then I go to stay in the prison for 2 years for writing articles about the minorities in Egypt. I stayed for 2 years, and I have a final sentence of 3 years of imprisonment because of those articles and my work on human rights. Honestly, the situation in the prison was for sure a terrible situation. I have been to 3 different prisons. I have been at the beginning in one of the worst prisons that I passed by in Mansoura, where I grew up. And in this prison, I was in a very small cell with only one companion. And this cell was like 2.5 meters and 2.5 meters high. I'm there for 23 hours daily. And it's without bathroom. You don't have access to bathroom in your cell. You only have 5 minutes at the morning to go to do whatever you want in those 5 minutes at the morning. So it was a very terrible experience in Mansoura prison for me, and I didn't expect it. Like when you read the literature of prisons and you read the work of the people who were in prison before, you feel that you know everything. But honestly, whatever books that you read, whatever literature that you read, you don't know the real experience of imprisonment. Yeah, we are trying. Even I wrote a book about imprisonment, but does this book reflect 1% of the real situation inside the prison? I don't feel so. Like I did this on purpose to give an imagination about it, but it doesn't make you feel or understand everything and the details about being in a very small place for 23 hours. You are subjected to torture and psychological torture on every day, every moment in your life. Even without being tortured, you are torturing yourself by thinking about when I will be out of this cell, when I will be out of this prison, without answer for this question. I remember that my cellmate in Mansoura prison, he was a 17 and a half years old person who was in this cell for 1 year before me, and he never even have the access to go for the 1 hour daily walk outside his cell. They never give him this right. He only started to have this right when I arrived. At the first day, before sleeping, of the first day when I slept, I heard someone talking, and we were only 2 in the cell. And I found out that this guy, because he was in a solitary cell for 9 months, he'd have some drawings on the wall, and he was talking to those drawings. And even after my presence, he can't overcome this act, and he started talking at the night, because those drawings on the wall was his only companion in his solitary cell. So that's a reflection on how the psychological situation became being in this kind of imprisonments. This is an example. Like I can talk about this for hours and hours about how the situation looks like inside and what I passed by. But honestly, it's very important also to talk about the psychological effect of the imprisonment on my skin. During the imprisonment, it was hard days, and it was waves of anxiety and depression. Even resisting and staying aware, it's a very big victory for me. I really appreciate that I'm still able to function, to talk, to make speeches like this, because after 2 years of imprisonment, it's really hard to again do the same stuff and to function normally. Sometimes at the night, after the prolonged imprisonment of me, in some days I wish to not wake up again. I wish to die, like in silence, because of the depression. It was huge waves of depression that you are showered in your mind by thousands of questions that you don't have answer for. When they will get me out? When I will be released? Will I stay? Should I still have hope to go out of this prison? Or I will stay there the rest of my life? So if I will stay here the rest of my life, I don't want to live one more day like that. It's a very depressive, anxious experience. And everyone who survived this experience is a hero to survive such kind of imprisonment. And for sure, I'm proud about this, but I'm really also aware and really afraid about my colleagues who are still in the prison till now, because I survived, but there is thousands of my colleagues who are still there inside the prison. I really care and really thinking about them. Considering the question of the young people and the youth, like for sure it was a terrible situation, because there I was young when I was in the prison, and for sure I had a lot of talks when I have the ability to talk to some people who were imprisoned when they were 16 and 17, and when I entered the prison they were 24, 25. Those people lose the hope, and I always speak and I always explain to whoever care, even in the Egyptian government, in the Egyptian society, that you are really manufacturing bombs inside those prisons by letting those people endlessly inside the prisons. That's not the solution to imprison people like that for years and years without any reason. A lot of people really enter the prison and they were never ever thinking about any violent acts. But after leaving them inside the prisons for 10 years, for 15 years without reasons, they are only thinking about one thing, that the first day when they go out, they will take the revenge. Whatever the revenge will looks like, or however the revenge will happen, but they are only focusing on this. So I always say that imprisoning those people for those years, you are really making like bombs that will go out one day in the society and the community again. If you want it or you don't want it, they will go out one day. So that's what make it very risky. If you are 17 years old and you ruin all like the best times in your life inside the prison, you lose the hope. You want to go out to take only revenge. That's the thing in your mind. For sure, again, when we are talking about the situation of Palestinian prisoners shifting to them, it's totally different thing. It's totally different imprisonment and the totally different procedures. We are talking about a systematic sexual harassments for Palestinian women inside the occupation prisons. We are talking about systematic rape using animals for Palestinian men inside the Israeli prisons. We are talking about putting them in conditions that they take, like they have like skin diseases, they have mental problems, they have all forms of oppression inside the occupation prisons. So it's a totally different thing. And here, when we are talking about the occupation prisons, we are talking about occupier imprisoning the people who are the occupying, which is totally different from Egypt. In Egypt, like it's a problem between Egyptians, like even if it's a dictatorship, but it's a problem between Egyptians. So that's why I didn't like so much the comparison. And the situation in the Israeli, the occupation prisons is molto terribly. Like I can't even explain the testimonies that I'm reading, and for sure he know more than me about this and about what's the situation inside the prisons there. Finally, to conclude this, for me, I always say that prison as an idea, it's a very terrible idea. I don't know why it was invented, even for political or non-political people. No one should go and to spend time in a small cell talking to himself, or even being in this place for long years for doing anything. Even for sure, I don't believe in this penalty, and I don't believe in prolonged imprisonment, because that doesn't change anything. Like a lot of research have been done that like imprisonment of criminals, of politicians, that will not change anything by any means. So I wish one day, I know it's a utopian hope, but one day we don't have prisons. We have another way to penalize people for doing stuff, and for sure not to penalize anyone who's politician, journalist, advocate, or human rights defender. So I wish one day we will not have prisons, and I wish one day Marwan Barghouti will be liberated and will be free with free Palestine. That's what I hope about the upcoming years. It's a utopian hope, but let's hope that it can happen.
Grazie Patrick per questa profonda riflessione del tuo vissuto e della proiezione su quella che è la situazione anche nelle carceri palestinesi.